What if one of the greatest civilizations in history, a people who mastered the stars, built cities deep in the jungle, and created one of the most accurate calendars ever, suddenly vanished without a trace? Picture this. You're walking through a dense jungle in Central America. The air is heavy and warm. Strange bird calls echo from the canopy. Suddenly, through the mist, an enormous stone pyramid rises above the trees, silent, abandoned, but magnificent. These are the lost cities of the Maya. They built soaring temples, invented a writing system unlike any other in the Americas, and achieved astronomical precision that still amazes scientists today. Yet centuries ago, this thriving civilization crumbled. Cities were abandoned, kings disappeared, jungle swallowed palaces whole. Why? What happened to the Maya? Today, we're going deep into the rise, power, and mysterious fall of the Mayan civilization, a story filled with brilliance, ambition, struggle, and lessons that echo across time. Stay with me, because some of what we'll uncover is only now being revealed by cutting-edge science. The story begins thousands of years ago. By 2000 BC, small farming communities across present-day Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador were growing maize and squash. Over centuries, they evolved into powerful city-states. The Maya didn't rise overnight. They mastered their environment, transforming dense jungles into farmland and marshes into livable spaces. By the Classic period, 250–900 AD, cities like Tikal, Palenque, Copan, and Chichen Itza became centers of innovation and power. The scale was breathtaking. Tikal alone had tens of thousands of residents, towering pyramids, palaces, and ball courts. Its tallest structure, Temple the Fourv, stood almost 70 meters high, taller than many medieval cathedrals in Europe. But the Maya weren't just builders, they were thinkers. The Maya developed a writing system of elegant, complex glyphs, the most sophisticated in the pre-Columbian Americas. For centuries, their inscriptions were a mystery. Only in the last few decades have we learned to read their history carved in stone. They independently invented the concept of zero, a revolutionary idea that even powerful civilizations like Rome never achieved. Zero allowed them to perform complex calculations and track time with incredible accuracy. Their astronomy was astonishing. Without telescopes, they charted the movement of planets like Venus and created calendars so precise that they deviated by only seconds over centuries. The famous Mayan long count calendar could track cycles spanning thousands of years. They also observed solar eclipses, solstices, and the motion of stars, not for curiosity alone, but to guide agriculture, warfare, and religion. Wars, coronations, and rituals were often timed to celestial events. Daily life varied depending on who you were. At the top were kings, called Ajah, believed to be chosen by the gods. They wore elaborate headdresses of jade and feathers and performed sacred rituals to prove their divine right. Nobles, priests, and warriors formed the next layer. Priests were astronomers and mathematicians, keeping the sacred calendars. Warriors defended cities and sometimes captured enemies for ritual sacrifice. Artisans created breathtaking works: jade jewelry, obsidian blades sharper than steel, and murals that told stories of gods and kings. Traders carried goods across vast networks, linking the highlands to the lowlands. Farmers, the foundation of the civilization, grew maize, beans, squash, and cacao. Chocolate wasn't sweet back then. It was a bitter, foamy drink, often mixed with spices and served to nobility and warriors. Religion was everywhere. The Maya believed the universe had three layers: the heavens, the earthly realm, and the underworld called Xibalba. They thought kings could communicate with gods and ancestors. To maintain balance, they performed rituals, some peaceful, some involving bloodletting or human sacrifice. These acts weren't seen as cruelty, but as vital to keeping the universe in harmony. For hundreds of years, the Maya thrived. Populations soared, cities expanded, culture and science flourished. But around the 8th and 9th centuries AD, cracks began to show. Suddenly, construction slowed. Monuments stopped being built. Cities that once held tens of thousands began to empty. Archaeologists call this the classic Maya collapse, and it's one of history's biggest mysteries. Why did a civilization so advanced fall apart? Recent science provides one crucial clue: climate disaster. By studying lake sediments and cave stalagmites, scientists found evidence of severe megadroughts between 800 and 1000 AD. Rainfall dropped for decades at a time. Crops failed. Reservoirs dried up. Famine swept through populations that had grown too large for the fragile land. Imagine living in a city where water runs out, harvests fail, and rulers can no longer promise the gods favor. Panic would spread. The Maya were never a single empire. Each city-state had its own king and ambitions. As droughts hit and resources shrank, competition turned violent. Kings carved their victories into stone, boasting of captured enemies. Massive fortifications sprang up, proof of how dangerous life became. But endless war drained manpower and resources. Alliances crumbled, trade routes broke. When divine kings failed to keep people safe or fed, belief in their sacred power collapsed, and with it, the political system that bound cities together. The Maya's success was also their undoing. They cleared vast forests for farmland and fuel. Over time, deforestation worsened drought by reducing rainfall and damaging soil. Population density soared, and the environment simply couldn't keep up. What had once been fertile land turned fragile. With no food and no faith in rulers, people began leaving the cities behind. By the late 800s and early 900s, great urban centers were abandoned. Temples and palaces crumbled. Ball courts went silent. The jungle reclaimed streets and plazas. But the Maya people themselves didn't vanish. Millions of their descendants still live across Central America today, speaking Mayan languages and preserving traditions. The collapse was political and urban, not the end of a culture. For centuries, explorers stumbled on ruins swallowed by jungle. But only recently have we begun to understand the full scale of Mayan cities. Using LiDAR, scientists can scan through thick jungle from the air. The results are stunning. Massive highways connecting cities, defensive walls, enormous reservoirs, and sprawling urban networks. These findings prove the Maya weren't just isolated jungle dwellers. They were a complex, connected civilization rivaling ancient Greece, Egypt, and Rome. The Maya's story is more than history. It's a cautionary tale. Climate change, overpopulation, environmental damage, and political chaos helped bring down one of humanity's most brilliant civilizations. These same pressures echo in our modern world. Yet their survival is inspiring. Despite conquest and collapse, Maya culture lives on, in language, food, art, and identity. People adapted and endured. Deep in the jungles, hidden temples and cities still sleep, waiting to be uncovered. Each new discovery rewrites what we know about this mysterious people. So, what do you think caused the Maya to fall? Was it drought, war, disease, or something we've yet to discover? Share your theory in the comments. And if you love uncovering the rise and fall of ancient empires, subscribe to Chronicles Legacy and ring the bell. Every week, we bring you stories that connect our present to the world's mysterious past.